It's Gun Runner. Gun Runner and Florent Giroux clear to the finish in the Louisiana Derby. Gun Runner wins going away.
Bobby Shoemaker, Andrew Calvano. It's Tournament Talk on the Tournament Edge for Friday, April 29th. It's good to be back with you after a one-week hiatus. Andrew and I will be doing 4 races, 3 at beautiful Belmont Park for opening weekend. A very good card, Andrew, and we'll talk about 3 races there. And also 1 race at Churchill Downs under the Twin Spires. In fact, Andrew, let's start there. Let's go to Churchill Downs Race 8. It's a mile and a 16th on the turf. It's a $52,000 allowance for 3-year-olds and up. It's a field of 10. Riddler, your 3-horse, is the 7-2 morning line favorite. Now keep in mind, guys, as Andrew and I do this show, it's Thursday night. There's right now a large chance of rain in the forecast for Churchill on Saturday. So if it's off the turf, tread lightly. Nevertheless, Andrew, again, as I mentioned, Riddler, the 3, the Pletcher horse, the 7-2 morning line favorite. Tell us your thoughts on this 3-horse. Give us a pace breakdown, and then obviously your top selection.
Yeah, without a doubt, Bob. And first, I'd like to apologize to the viewers tonight. Seem to be having some sort of cold, so if I'm coughing, I apologize in advance. But back to it, Bobby. Number 3, Riddler goes out for Pletcher and Corey Lannery. Thought this horse was much the best, the one to beat. Undefeated on the turf. Pletcher prepped this horse going 7.5 last time at Gulfstream Park. Now we're going 1 mile and 16. From a pace perspective, you know this horse is going to go to the lead. Also has the ability to rate. That's a very good thing. Number 6, Blue Wings, I think has some real early speed. And you're going to see more speed that's going to transfer from the synthetic races back to the turf. So expect that one to be out early, as well as number 1, Approve This Message.
Yeah, well, I saw Riddler, the 3, as well as the 6 Blue Wings, as well as the 7 Chant Me Up Baby as a possibility of going the lead. And then the 9 as well, Silver Dagger, who I think is the best of the speed, in fact. My thoughts on Riddler, the 3, as far as the favorite, I think the 3 is the favorite for the simple fact that Todd Pletcher is the trainer. I mean, most occasions, Andrew, I'm a dead player against horses facing winners for the first time, especially horses stretching out from 7.5 furlongs to 1 mile and a 16th. I just think this horse is up against it, not only because he's facing better, but because there's other horses that want to do the same thing as this horse wants to do. Do you think this horse is the deserved favorite, and do you think this horse is the winner?
Yeah, deserving favorite for sure, Bobby, for the reasons we just spoke about. Todd Pletcher, the best in the country. Corey Lannery gave him some real good rides at Gulfstream Park, so him transferring over, that's always good to see. The horse is undefeated on the turf after that being special weight and being a pretty decent group there. Deserving favorite, yes. Most likely winner, maybe not. I mean, I definitely have that horse in my top 3. I think he's going to have the ability to rate today. That's going to be a little bit better for him. But most likely winner, I'm not sure. Bobby, the horse I'm going with, you spoke about it a little bit earlier, number 9, Silver Dagger. That's my top pick here. It's the only horse, it's the only price I actually have to feel comfortable about going into this race. It was 3rd off the layoff of Dale Romans. 2 intriguing 7.5 furlong races to get this horse back to maybe longer races, Bobby. That's always an angle we talk about.
Sure.
This horse ran a very game 2nd last out, missing the winner's circle by only a head. 3rd place, that horse, Erbuano, came back to win his next out as well. You know, we talk about the pace. I don't see it being too crazy. So this one, you know, I preferred him rating, Bob. I know you said this was the speediest. I prefer if this horse could rate. Obviously, the horse has tendencies earlier in his career to go out to the front end. I think the best opportunity for Silver Dagger to get into the winner's circle would to be rating this race.
Well, and if he rates, he's certainly a bigger player than what I gave him credit for. I just saw the horse, again, taking that stretch out. Maybe stretching out still will allow him to rate a bit. And if that's the case, certainly a horse that I'm going to include in our pick 4s. because I thought there was so much speed in here, Andrew, I went with the 5 horse, Conquest Bespoke. And the reasons being, obviously, it's not hard to go with a Mark Casse, Julien Leparoux connection. Julian's been outstanding all year long. He's even better at places like Keeneland and Churchill Downs. I believe I heard today that Julian's won 8 or 10 jockey titles at Churchill Downs. Yeah. And I think a large part of that is because of the turf course going long. The reason I'm on this horse is because of the effort, first time stretching out on April 8th at Keeneland off of a 54-day layoff. This horse drew the 11 hole that day and was forced 3 and 5 wide because of it. I watched the race twice. I really liked the middle part of the race by this horse. I thought the horse showed a lot of talent going long for the first time. Casse can get him ready at any juncture. They wheel him back in 22 days. I expect better effort from this horse second time going long, and I think this horse has every opportunity to set second flight behind the horses that I mentioned to you earlier, the 3, the 6, the 7, and possibly your 9 if they go to the lead. I think the most likely winner in this race is actually the 1 horse, Approve This Message. I think this horse will benefit from so much speed, and the horse has been ultra consistent, not winning a lot, Andrew, but finishing either in the money or very close to the lead when it's all said and done. I want to get first run on the 1 horse and the 8 horse, Dylan Ward, who is also a horse that's going to be closing that I think will benefit from a heavy pace duel early, which, again, that's what I'm gambling on. I think this 5 horse has a lot of talent. Hadn't necessarily shown it on paper yet, but I saw a lot of that mile in the 8th race, Andrew, that I liked, and I think it probably would have finished even better than the 4 3/4 length loss if it wasn't for the bad post. I mean, sometimes that post draw just leaves you wide no matter how hot your jockey is. Now I get the 5. I get a lot of pace in front of me. Not betting this horse to win. This is a good tournament play, in my opinion. I'll take the 5 horse at 6-1 morning line.
Without a doubt, Bob, and, talking about tournament play, anytime you can get 6-1 on a Mark Casse, Julien Leparoux horse, I mean, go for it.
Sure.
And, most of the time you'll find those horses near, 2-1, maybe sometimes even money. So 6-1 on some of the top connections, especially a trainer jockey who killed it in Florida, continued a good stretch in Keeneland, now bringing it to Churchill Downs. You have a hot team there, Bobby, so I like selecting.
Well, Andrew Calvano was on the 9 horse Silver Dagger at 6-1. Dale Romans, Robbie Alvarado. I sided with the 5 at 6-1. Conquest Bespoke, Mark Casse, Julien Leparoux. And without further ado, a meet that I am very excited about, Andrew. It's probably outside of Saratoga, which should be everyone's favorite meet. This is my favorite meet of the year, the spring-summer meet at Belmont Park. The two different turfs, going long, short, just so much talent. We're all meeting back at Belmont Park once again. So let's kick things off in race 7. It's 2 turns on the dirt. It's a mile and a 16th, an $80,000 allowance for 3-year-olds and up. It's a field of 8. Bellamy Way, the 2 horse, is your 9-5 morning line favorite. Initially, as we always do, your thoughts on the 2. Is this the horse to beat? Do you agree with the morning line?
Agree with the morning line for sure, going second off the layup, David Canizo, who had a very good acrobat beat, especially with Kendrick Carmouche. Deserving favorite, the horse is going to be right on the lead, and I think that's where these horses are going to get themselves in. I think there's a good abundance of speed, so I think this race, is really going to need a horse that's going to come off the pace. The horse I went to, Bobby, that's number 7, Wayman Boyd at 5-1. This horse, a beaten 3rd last time out behind Sue, who was a very good horse. Went out for Rudy Rod first time that day. This is the second time the colt went out for Tom Morley and showed a lot of late kick and still wanted to go and gallop out. I watched the replay. 2 back on March 12th. Was a very speed bias that day at Aqueduct. I covered the card for Tournament Edge. A very, very speed bias. So I'll make another excuse that this is the first time on the East Coast or shipping in, has to get used to the new surroundings, but there should be plenty of speed from the inside horses, Groupthink, Bellamy Way, Saratoga Wildcat, that this horse will get a good trip for Jose Ortiz. So if Jose Ortiz can save ground, get this one in a good position early, Tom Morley comes up with these prices. I know they've never clicked before, Jose Ortiz and Tom Morley, but Jose Ortiz is the top jockey in New York right now. and I'm playing this race from a pace perspective, not so much, who am I going to go bet at the windows? Like we said about earlier races, this is just my tournament play. But I think the horse can do some damage if he can rate these successfully.
How fast do you think they're going to go early? And I know you mentioned that you thought Groupthink and Bellamy Way was going to be on the pace. Are you looking for a pace meltdown here, or do you think the 7 horse is this is its race to run and pop, if you will?
Exactly, and that's, I think, what I'm exactly looking for out of Wayman Boyd. I would expect a very fast quarter. I don't want to say anything near 22, maybe like a 23 and a half. That would really set up things for Wayman Boyd. But you have a lot of speed coming from the inside there.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, Andrew, this race took me less time than any other race we're going to cover. I just think Rally Cry, the 4 horse, is so much better than anything else in this field for a plethora of reasons. First and foremost, let's just get this out of the way. Todd Pletcher, Johnny Velasquez. Todd thought enough of this horse to put him in the Gotham on March 5th, in which he broke as bad as you can break. He was left at the gate and was rushed at that point wide all the way around the racetrack. And we've talked about this now for the 3rd time on this show. The golden rail at Gotham that day. If you were not near the rail, you had no chance to win from race 1 until the card was over with. He lost all chance. Again, was rushed and chased a hot pace that we talked about, and then obviously quit. The race before that, January 29th at Gulfstream Park, I was there that day to see Shagaf run. I wanted to see him in person. Javier made an early move with Rally Cry and then got pinched at the rail. I often now wonder, going back to that race, Andrew, if he didn't get steadied and have to go wide, could there have been a different winner in that race? Nevertheless, I think this horse's true colors were shown on December 26th when he broke his maiden. It was very impressive that day. He's got excuses in his last 2. Todd brings him back 58 days after that Gotham. I just think this horse is much the best. And to be quite honest, I think he rolls this field. I think Rally Cry wins and does it in a big way. The problem is I'll never see $9 on this horse. He'll probably go off at 2-1, and rightfully so. Rally Cry will win this race at Belmont Park.
Yeah, Bob, and because of those reasons, Rally Cry was my second pick for all the reasons you listed. $250,000 purchase out of Uncle Mo. Teresa Pompey is the owner here. Those connections always took out, especially when Johnny V's aboard. But like you said, this horse is going to have his way. It was a golden rail in Gotham. Didn't get the trip. But Bob, like you said, you know me, guys, I do my morning line odds before we look at them. I had the horse at 5-2 and expected the horse to go off 9-5. So now 7-2. I could see the horse going off 2-1, and that's what kind of kept me away from this one. But nonetheless, a very, very game horse, not to be left off any tickets.
A horse I want you to consider, Andrew, and obviously you found a price horse, but I expected us to be on the same horse here, to be honest. I want you to take a look at the 1 horse, Groupthink. I understand from a class perspective he has no chance. But as I've said so many times, this horse doesn't know what he's been running for, and he doesn't know what he's running for today. And if you look at 2 out of this horse's last 3 efforts, the November race at Belmont Park and the January 28th race, this horse has been very game. He wins November 1st. I thought he did everything right 93 days ago at Aqueduct. This horse is going to be forwardly placed. I think Vecino may take him to the lead. You want to talk about a trainer that is on fire. David Gargan has made a living this year at New York. I'm not leaving this horse off any exotics that I'm doing. I think if you're in a scenario where you're down tremendously in your tournaments, you got to look at this horse. He's got speed and he's got the rail, so you know there's going to be no excuse. He's going to go, and he's going to go as far as he can for as fast as he can. And in the last 3 races, again, he's been pretty fast. He's gone a long ways, and he's won one of those races.
Yeah, and if players look at the actual write-up and the analysis and the picks I write for Tournament Edge, you'll see that I point out Midwest Thoroughbreds Danny Gargan as by far my favorite angle in New York. It seems that whenever the owner and the trainer click up, it's like a 45% winner, especially when guys like Kendrick Carmouche are aboard too. You get John Busono here, had his trouble over the Aqueduct, but still a very good rider who made a name for himself at Parks. Bob, my problem with Groupthink is, and this is just from past experience in betting the horse, I feel like the horse does not want to win. Now, Bob, like you said, This horse is a very game horse. He finds himself in the money often, but as far as winning, I'm not sure if the horse can do it.
I understand that, and I get it totally. I just know Gargan means business.
Yep.
And if he's putting a horse from a $25,000 claimer and putting him in a race against Rally Cry and Bellamy Way at an $80,000 allowance,
Yep.
he must think he's got a chance. And I think this horse has showed too much speed and will save too much ground to not be considered in this race.
Yeah, and I've always said, never doubt a trainer's confidence, especially a trainer like Danny Gargan or Todd Pletcher, any of those high, standing guys. So, yeah, you're seeing this. The horse just lost a state-bred $25,000 claimer. Now he's up for an open $80,000 allowance. I'm not playing the horse. Believe in the confidence, especially with a guy like Danny Gargan.
Completely agree with you, Andrew, and well said. So Andrew is on the 7 Wayman Boyd at 5-1. And I'm going to settle for Rally Cry at 7-2 morning line, Todd Pletcher, Johnny Velasquez, and hoping just winning this race and moving on and finding prices later. So we're going to go right to the next race at Belmont Park, race 8. It's a 7 furlongs on the turf. It's a $100,000 stakes, Andrew. It's called the Elusive Quality. It's for 4-year-olds and up. It's a field of 10 in the ultra classy Green Mask, the 5-horse. He's your 2-1 morning line favorite. You talk about another horse on class alone, Andrew, is going to be bet, in my opinion, well below 2-1, despite the long layoff.
Without a doubt, and Wesley Ward and Joe Rosario teaming up a little bit in these last 2 days at Keeneland before Rosario's coming up here to New York. They even teamed up in the 8th day at Keeneland, I believe. Needless to say, like you said, Bob, the horse isn't going to be 2-1. I could honestly see this horse going off even money, maybe even 4-5. I do not prefer horses off layoffs in the first place, especially when they're shipping in from places like Hong Kong or Dubai. So I'll pass on a horse like Green Mask. Obviously, this horse is the overwhelming class in the field, 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint behind horses like Mongolian Saturday and Lady Shipman, who's the next out winner. But I got to find something else with the layoff coming in from Sha Tin. With that being said, I looked at another pricing here. I have this horse in my virtual stable. I really want to give him a chance today. I really think he can improve. That's Sandy Slew. Sandy Slew jumps in class here. I know it's a 5-month layoff, and I just said that I don't like it, but I've really seen this horse come back off layoff before, and I really think I can get him again. A very grindy win last time at Laurel for Richard Schlossberg, who will have to run a very, very big race today. But if this one can keep the form he did last year, this one will make a sound at a huge price. Back to a perfect distance. This one has a lot of versatility with the ability to either show speed or rate the field. Faced tough allowance horses all last year, only out of the money once. Shore Runner, Plainview, Dowson's Beach, the list goes on of tough horses this one faced. Obviously, this one will have to overcome the layoff and the class jump for a low percentage trainer, but consistent numbers prove that this horse does belong. So maybe out of the clouds, we find a huge price here on a horse that we know is going to be close to the lead and can sneak to the top.
There's no question that this horse is going to be close to the lead, and certainly the class of any of the speed horses, and the best by far of any of the speed horses. I had written down here, I thought the 7, which is Sandy Slew, would be on the lead. I thought the 10 horse from Dirt to Turf, Big Guy Ian, would be on the lead. And I also thought that Aztec Brave, the 12, with a good break, would be close, if not on the lead. The 7 horse, certainly a major player. And that October 17th race at Belmont Park, Andrew, on your top selection, makes him a big-time threat in here to certainly go to this distance wire to wire or sit right off the 10 and win the race. I'm with you wholeheartedly when it comes to Green Mask. I completely agree about your point. Long layoff, shipping in from other countries. But how about the fact that this horse is going to have to come out of the absolute cloud? So he's shipping off the break, and he's going to be closing. 7 furlongs, that is everything that I play against every week on this show. So with that being said, I have ultra respect for your top selection, but I did land on the 12 horse Aztec Brave. I think this horse has been very good at a mile. And I think horses that show exemplary speed at a mile tend to do very well in 7.5 furlong races because they're still either on the lead or very close to it, avoiding bad trips. And you know how I feel about horses forwardly placed on the turf. It's all about not necessarily the best horse winning. It's the best horse that has the best trip that's going to get the job done. I'm a big fan of Carmouche. I'm a big fan of Sharp. When these guys get together, they certainly are successful. I like that race 140 days ago, December 12th at Gulfstream Park, where this horse would have won the race, if not had trouble, just lacked room, but was still showed that speed early as it's been showing at a mile. Obviously, the break here at Belmont is scary. I completely understand if this horse is eliminated from the start because it's being hung too wide. But again, when I was thinking about pace, Andrew, I saw your horse in the 10, but I didn't see anything else. I think the 12 is fast enough to still save a lot of ground turning after that first turn, either right behind the 7 and the 10 or right there with them. And I think the 12 is as good as any of those other 3 horses in this field that I've just mentioned. I'll take a shot with Aztec Brave and one of my favorite jockeys in New York at 5-1.
Yeah, and to go along with what you're saying, Bobby, this horse has only finished out of the money on the turf 3 times. And we're not talking about claiming races and jumping up a class. This horse has been running stakes competition for the last year. The horse is running in the Grade 3 Red Bank, only losing 3rd by a length. This horse has a very good class. Obviously, we found 2 horses that we have to overcome some layoffs, but if we're flashing early speed, especially with Kendrick Carmouche, who is most, in my opinion, the most aggressive rider on the front end on the New York circuit. If you want a lead horse and you see Carmouche's name, that just makes me smile 10 times more because I know for a fact Carmouche will give him a good ride on the front end. So you land on a very game horse as well, Bobby. But like you said, that 12 post could be a tough draw, but if he gets out of the gate, we'll be on the front end for sure.
And I agree, Andrew. I think the horse, again, has shown enough talent out of the gate, enough speed to save ground. If there was more speed to the inside of him, full disclosure, I'd have landed on your horse as well. Andrew on the 7 at a big price, 15-1, Sandy Slew. And I landed on the 12 horse, 5-1. His name is Aztec Brave. Last not least, and Andrew, I took this race because it is going to be a tournament difference maker. You're talking about a race at Belmont Park, race 9, 6 furlongs on the inner turf. It's a $75,000 maiden special rate for 3-year-olds and up. A lot of different angles to tackle this. You got trainers that are bringing in a horse for the first time, a first career start that have been very successful, such as the 9 horse with Karen McLaughlin, Luis Saez. It's the morning line odds makers decided to make GPS, the 2 horse, out of a field of 12, your 7-2 morning line favorite. Did you find a price source here, or did you just find the 2 horse to be too consistent to play against?
I wasn't about GPS. Really wanted to find an alternative. I found 2 horses in this race, Bob. I'll go with the first one. First one, I'm not trying to get too cute. Number 1, Wife, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Chad Brown, Javier Castellano, $300,000 first-time purchase at a candy ride. Steadily working out in Florida. I see a bullet drill on April 15th. 5-1 on a first-time starter with Chad Brown. How could I not play? Now, if I'm in a position, Bobby, like you said, we're wrapping up tournaments. If I need to take a stab, I look at number 5, Jess I Am. Would be a good key underneath the trifectas, and if you got to go for it all in tournaments. Back on the turf since the October 18th race, it was a decent race. I watched the replay. Right. Obviously, just didn't want the mile, but was game throughout. I think short on the turf is what they wanted to do with this horse all along. They obviously couldn't get him on the inner track at New York, so I could see this one closer to the front end today because we talked about that Kendrick Carmouche angle, very aggressive out of the gate. So turf sprints, John Terranova is a 22% kind of guy. I know he's a low barn, but he does well with these types of horses. This is a Zayat stable horse, a Triple Crown nominated horse out of Escandrea. So, they got to have some confidence in this horse. At 15-1, trying something new, Bob, I'm willing to take a shot only if I need that big price to get me back into the tournaments.
I'm not mentioning the one here because you mentioned it. I have it in my notes because I know the horse is going to be bet. If Chad Brown has a weakness, Andrew, it's horses going out for the first time, especially going short on the turf. I think when he puts a horse in a long distance race on the turf, he's obviously in that race to win. I don't know if this horse is in this race to prep for something longer. like a $75,000 maiden at a mile or a mile and a 16th. Obviously, I respect the horse with Chad and Javier, but you're talking about a firster, short for Chad, and drawing the one hole. And we both know that horses, first time out, sometimes have a tendency to shy away from that rail. They don't break well, something of that nature. I know 5-1 is not going to be something that we're going to see on this horse simply because who's training him and who's riding him. I thought the 2 horse was certainly GPS. I thought the 2 was a very vulnerable favorite. I certainly respect the December 23rd effort. I thought it showed a lot of speed that day and did everything but win. But the last 2 efforts at Gulfstream, albeit only going 5 furlongs, I had every chance to win, especially the one on February 11th, and then really no excuse on the 23rd either. Are we looking at another horse that's always bet and never wins, or it takes a long time for the horse to win? I'm just a play against that horse as well. I had an ultra respect for the 9 horse. I don't want to even pretend to pronounce the name, the Kieran McLaughlin, Luis Saez. Talk about a guy that does have success with firsters that I've taken advantage of is Kieran McLaughlin. But I didn't like the workouts there, but still you got to respect them. So in the end, and this is not typical for me, I land on another horse way outside, and that's the 12 horse, Andrew, Silent Mission for Wesley Ward, Joel Rosario. Showed a lot of speed on February 27th at Fairgrounds with Valdivia Jr. aboard. I think he then thought this horse might be better suited for the 5.5 furlong races, so he puts him in an allowance race as a maiden at Keeneland on April 15th and had a ton of trouble. Went wide, was bumped. I know beat 10 lengths. That horse was never going to get beat by 10 if he doesn't have the trouble that he has. Now he wheels him back 15 days later, and now he gets Joel Rosario, which is a significant jockey upgrade. Again, if there's a lot of speed that goes inside the 12, he's probably not a player. But I don't see that on the form. Now, granted, there are a lot of firsters, but I don't see a lot of fast bullet gate workouts. So what's to say this horse can't break second behind the 8, who's probably going to be on the lead? What's to say he doesn't break third if the 1 breaks well? If he breaks well and gets close to the rail or closer to the rail than the 12 post after that first turn, I think this horse has every chance to win. I liked the workout April 5th. I thought he kind of backed it up April 15th early before the trouble. Why not? Silent Mission to 12, 8-1, and I think he'll be an overlay.
Without a doubt, Bob. And I took a look at number 12, Silent Mission as well. The only thing that scared me away is what you stated before with the post draw. But I have a couple notes here. Let's go over about that last race at Keeneland. Expected ruler wins that race. That's Liam Bason's horse. I don't know if you follow him on Twitter or not, but a lot of potential in that horse. So
yes.
That's a very good softy allowance group. We look back into the maiden race. He'll pay the horse, the eventual winner of that race, comes back, wins next time out. Data mining finishes 3rd of that race. I know it doesn't say here in my daily racing form that this horse came back and won, but the horse did come back and won, and he won on opening turf day back at Acrobat. So 2 classy races. The post draw is what concerned me, but Wesley Ward and Joel Rosario, especially at the 1, hard to ignore.
Yeah, it is. And again, not something I typically do, but when you don't have a lot of information and the short price horses like the 7 drop shot, and I talked about GPS, and then the 3 horse coming in from Woodbine, I mean, what's he beating there? I mean, he's 9-2. I didn't see a lot. I know it's Cassie. It's Lescano, that they certainly have built a good business together, but didn't show a lot of speed there. I'm not sure how much speed's going to be in this race. You just don't know. That's why it makes it a great tournament contest race, because you can have a lot of different opinion on some really good priced horses, and if you get it right, you're benefited mightily either after that race or down the road when you've got an advantage over other guys that are now stabbing or taking horses they wouldn't necessarily like, because you got a leg up on them here. I mean, I get Joel, I get Wesley, I get a horse that showed talent 2 consecutive races, and he's got class edge over this field, as you pointed out, which I didn't bring up. So, yeah, why not? 8-1. Give us your pick once again, Andrew. Anything, are you going to play tries here, or are you just going to take a shot in a tournament?
I'm looking from a horizontal aspect. This is a 100% an all race for me. So I'm going to try to narrow down my ticket in the earlier races, going with a $30 budget, hit the all button in this race and just hope to catch some because, Bobby, like you said, it's just so wide open. If I had to give a top pick, my price pick would be number 5, Jess I Am, 15-1. But, Bobby, I know you're against it, but I'll try the Chad Brown first-time starter, number 1 wide.
Ultra respect for that. Well, Andrew, it's been a great show, and next week we're going to be talking about the Kentucky Derby. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll do it for this edition of Tournament Talk on the Tournament Edge. For Andrew Calvano, I'm Bobby Shoemaker, and as always, until next week, good luck.
Good luck, guys.